And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Hey, we got a great interview for you. As soon as we get started here, can you do me a favor? Please like, share, review. This is Shaping Success, a show where we talk to people about success and how they've created it, as it is different for every single person. If you're on the YouTube channel, please hit subscribe, hit that bell, help us to get it out there. The more we have, the more people we reach, and that is the big thing. If you're looking for some Shaping Success gear, hit that link in my bio. We got sweatshirts, hats, hoodies, stickers, all that stuff. Today's guest is a friend of mine that I have met on another live that I do every Wednesday with my friend Jay Finning, called One Drink Wednesday. If you guys want to come hang out with that, 7 o'clock Pacific every Wednesday. Our guest is Chris Kram. What is happening, Chris?
What is going on, Wes? Thanks for having me on finally, man. All those little text and messages I send on your One Drink Wednesday. Get a little virtual face-to-face.
Man, it's awesome because I've met so many people on there through Jay, because Jay is like this connector. I mean, he knows everyone. And you meet some really cool people. And we've talked back and forth about some of the posts that I make and some of the things that I say. And I kind of feel like, we kind of have that same mentality. And you're an entrepreneur, but you're also doing a bunch of stuff to get there, right? And that's what we're all trying to do. Like, we have these day jobs and we're doing all these side things to get to where we really want to be.
Yeah, it didn't start that way. It's, when you're growing up, you expect to do like, this is the job I want to do, and this is the career I want to go for. Because in high school, they're like, what's your career path? And this is how you're going to go. And the older I've gotten, the more I realized I still have no idea. So entrepreneurs, like when you put a meal together and call it rustic, it's just messy. So that's kind of what entrepreneurs is, just messy. It's all over the place. But it's trying to find that purpose again, which, military gives you purpose to get out. Now you're like, okay, now what do I do?
And it's crazy that you chose a path of military. So let's talk about that a little bit, because it sounded like you're a pretty good baseball player in high school. Like, this was something that you were going, you thought maybe this would be something that you could do. So talk about that a little bit. Yeah,
the military baseball sort of transition was interesting. I got attacked by a Rottweiler when I was 17, and it bit a hole through my right forearm muscle, like right there. You can't see it, but actually bit a hole through the throwing arm. I was supposed to play some really big tournaments coming up my junior and senior year, and because of the injury, I didn't play my senior year. And my parents put a lot of money into me playing baseball. It's pretty good, and I'm like, I'm going to join the military. So naturally, that didn't go well. But the military, it really, really helped me focus on things, because if I went to college straight out of high school, oh my God, I would have been an idiot.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't have the discipline or the focus I would have needed to actually graduate like I did last year.
Well, it's interesting because we'll talk about the military. I won't talk about the military thing, but the baseball thing is pretty impressive to me, because, I always feel like there's a lot of life lessons in baseball. And we talked a little bit, I coach, but there's so many things that baseball teaches you as far as like failing and succeeding and all that stuff. And you had, like you said, your parents put a lot of money into you. So like, you came up from this situation where, I'm guessing, because this is the way it is here, but these guys are playing club ball. So high school ball is pretty much free, or they started charging a little bit now, but it used to be pretty much free. Like, you could go do that. But if you wanted to excel, if you wanted to be better, you had to go do club ball or play more, right? And so that's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah. So one of the things that really helped shape sort of jumping into new situations is I came from a really small city, and right about the age of 11, 12, realized rec wasn't what I was supposed to be playing for. So I tried out for a team 45 minutes away, knew nobody, and ended up being a walk-on as a catcher, and just kind of growing from there. And as you say, baseball is like this, it's steeped in failure. A 300 batting average is good. That means you fail 70% of the time. So for a catcher, you look at numbers like pass ball percentage. If I have a pass ball percentage over 90% as a 13-year-old, that's pretty freaking good because I learned how to block at an early age.
Right.
So, putting yourself in those weird outsiders type situations, I got to do at a young age. And I went from that team to, another one called Baseball Factory. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're massive now. Then they were pretty low. And I was 15, 16 playing with teams and people that were 18, 19, 20-year-olds, catching guys that threw 90, 95, 98 miles an hour at 15 years old, and just hanging with them.
That's amazing. But it's one of those things that is highly competitive as a catcher, which is kind of like the anchor of that whole team. Usually it holds a lot of that together, and being able to be, that good. So then you have this injury, right? And did you have to kind of reinvent yourself? I mean, because I'm assuming that at this point you're like, hey, I'm going to be a baseball player. This is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it took a long time to heal from, not just physically, obviously mentally. And it's finding that identity again. And the military sort of helped form that identity. And unfortunately, I don't know if you've watched any other podcasts, but Tyler Gray, he's a credible Delta Force guy, but he said, the military gives you a persona, gives you that identity, and once you leave, well, now you got to reinvent it. So getting out when I did sort of helped not instill that, I guess. Like it sort of laid the framework to building an identity. But yeah, I had to, again, start all over again at 18 and figure out who the hell I am.
So what did your parents say? Because you mentioned a little bit that it was kind of interesting. They were kind of not very happy that you decided to join the military. How did that conversation go?
Poorly.
I bet.
Yeah. So my dad, he's a nice man, but once he gets something in his head, he gets kind of harsh. And he's like, "You're joining the Marines and you're going to become a man. That's all you're going to be, or that's what you're going to do." I'm like, "No, I don't want to be a grunt. That's not happening." My cousins and everything, God bless them, but that's not what I want to be. So joined the Navy. And,
so it was basically, was your dad a Marine, or did he just like, hey, the Marine is the toughest of the tough, because they are, like you said, they're the ones who are on the front battle line. That's what they say. That's the, I don't have a military background. And if you're a Marine, I'm sorry, I'm not really going to say, but there's these, I taught kids in high school. I taught them senior project when I was a teacher. And they're like, the one guy's like, I'm joining the Marines. The other guy's like, I'm joining the Navy. And they called the guy who was joining the Marines a crayon eater, because like he just didn't, like there's all these things that people say, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that was his perception, because his sister, his brother, actually two of his sisters and one of his brothers were both Marines. My cousin, so that's what he knew. The problem is, when you join the military, is whether or not you have a job that's translatable to civilian life.
Right.
A grunt, you're going to be a defense contractor and then maybe open your own thing. It's kind of the path you have. I did aviation, electrician, avionics, so all the electrical stuff that goes on a plane, the navigation, the GPS, the radar, tactical things, like that translates over to the job I'm doing now as an engineer. So like it's obviously helped.
It's funny you talked. So you talked a little bit about this being slingshotted off an aircraft carrier. Tell me about that, because I envision, like, I'm guessing you were in a plane.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if this was some what do they call it? Like when they initiate you, it's like, here you go, we're going to shoot you off the plane, and you're off the aircraft carrier. I mean,
that would be rough. Going 160 miles an hour in 1.8 seconds, 70 feet off the ground or water. That would be rough as just a person. No, man, it was interesting, because like in my bio, right, I went to Japan. I was out there for all of 8 days. So culture shock, welcome to Japan. Here you are. I got to see a countryside because a helo dropped like 200 rounds of ammo off of and I had to go find it. in the middle of country I've never been. Like, okay, now you're going to fly out to the ship. So I got flown out, got to get a recovery, which you go from about 160 to 0 in 300 feet. So that's an interesting endeavor. And then my last cruise, I was in around Australia. I got launched off, and it's kind of interesting. The Greyhounds, they call them, you're facing the back of the plane.
Oh,
so
wow.
when you go, they tell you to like go this, lean forward because you're going that way, and then you land, you're the opposite. So it's a very violent, and then it's nice and floaty.
So what kind of plane is this? Like I'm picturing, Maverick, obviously. Like everyone thinks about an airplane, like you're picturing him going off the aircraft carrier with the hook on the end of it, and they're launching it off, right? That's exactly what you're doing. But what kind of plane were we in?
So no, nothing that crazy.
Okay.
We had still fun. Don't go. Oh no. It's a two prop. Plane.
You're not Maverick, dude. It's okay.
No, I'm not a pilot. Smarter than those guys. No, it's two prop plane. It's they call it C2 Greyhound. It's pretty much the bus of the Navy. It just ships people back and forth from aircraft carriers and whatnot.
And they still have to launch those. That's like this because the runway is super small, right? That's the whole.
Yeah, the catapults are like I think 250-ish feet.
Mm-hmm.
So to get to speed, be able to get enough lift, you obviously need to be going pretty quick. So the problem was I was on the Kitty Hawk, which is this conventional carrier, which was steam powered. A little sketchy because the steam's not consistently powered every single launch.
Oh, dang. You're saying the catapult was like steam powered. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Old school.
That's nuts.
That thing caught on fire and died multiple times.
I've heard of the Kitty Hawk because that's an old one, right? That's been around forever. Yeah.
Yep. It decommissioned my last cruise in 2007.
Okay. That's crazy.
So, yeah. Yeah.
So you get out of the military and you decide what's next. What are we going to do next?
So I get out and I stay with my parents for a year.
The last thing you want to do, right? Go back home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to install car stereos because you remember West Coast Customs?
Yep.
And Pimp My Ride and stuff like that. I loved creating things. And I remember I started building custom boxes at this local shop, and I didn't get paid anything. And I was just learning how to use fiberglass and how to use MDF and how to run wires through cars and tear them apart and do all the grueling crap that no one really wants to do for car stereos. And I'm like, okay, I can go to New Jersey and go to this mobile electronics installer school. I was like, no, I want to work on cars too. So I went to UTI out in Avondale and just picked up and moved, had no job lined up, found a place, and was just like, something's going to happen because I'm going to make it happen.
Right.
Because I know I'm going to school, but I also need a job. So I ended up getting certified as a mobile electronics installer, if you will, and working at Best Buy. Honestly, one of the most fun times ever was installing for Best Buy. I had a blast. Yeah. I only made like $12 an hour, $13 an hour, but dude, it was so fun. I got to build systems for cars, and this place didn't do custom work at first.
Uh-huh.
And then I brought in their first $5,000 freaking custom job, and they're like, yeah, keep your stuff there. It's fine.
Awesome. We can do this.
Yeah. They didn't mind me having my tools there.
Yeah. So Best Buy, and then now, here's the thing that I want to just bring up is that like entrepreneurial people, so they tend to be thinking of a million different things at once, right? And they'll try like 10 or 20 different things, and they're trying to find whatever fits. And then usually at one point something just blows up, right? So you're working at Best Buy, and what's running through your mind while you continue to do this?
While installing's fun, I want to do something that's more of my own. And I think that's kind of been the entire gist of what I've wanted to do since I've gotten out of the military, was to do something that was purely mine. It's why I kind of started my YouTube channel. It was uniquely me. The editing, the color grading, all that stuff is me. So while that's fun and all, I want a business that, retains the name and sort of has an impact outside of just the clientele that I have. You know what I mean? So for entrepreneur, I'm sorry.
Where do you go from there? So you're obviously not working at Best Buy anymore. And this is this journey, right? That we're going
Yeah.
through. So what do you do after that?
Yeah. So I kind of went down a chase and money path and made a lot of it, but I was a defense contractor and I was overseas a lot. And I found that to be just wildly unfulfilling. You can go to the Middle East and be amongst the worst and be around some good people and make good money, but you're not home. You're not really building yourself in any way. You're just kind of sitting there collecting a paycheck and doing your job. And as many people coined a term that I absolutely hate, it's easy money.
Yeah, right.
I hate that phrase because it just says you're there and that's it.
Right.
Like you don't want anything else in life. So when I came back from the Middle East, I'm like, I want to do more, and I want to find out what that more is. So I learned that I didn't know a lot of stuff. So I went to school. I put myself through college to earn a bachelor's, and in January start my MBA.
So what's your bachelor's in?
It's business management. I got it from U of A. They have a business school called Eller College of Management, and it's very business focused. And as a 30-something-year-old going through with a bunch of 18 to 20-some-year-olds, that was interesting.
Oh, I've been there. That's exactly what I worked at the place that I did for 11 years. So at 32 years old, I went back to college to go get a degree in education. It is. It's kind of eye opening.
Yeah. But I got to meet some interesting people, and I'm friends with a lot of the professors that I had. Because they saw me more as a professional as opposed to a kid that doesn't know nothing.
I never really thought about that, but that's a pretty interesting thought. When they look at someone who's 30 versus someone who's 18, they're still kind of like teaching this kid to be an adult, whereas you're already an adult. You've already been through it because you've lived by yourself at this point. You've paid your own bills, and those types of things. So, yeah. So businesses, and that's kind of the thing that I thought about. Like, I honestly feel like for myself, my education background, I wouldn't take it back, but it was a waste of money because I don't do it anymore, right? That's not what I do. I don't teach because it was so hard to teach kids in this day and age. It wasn't the same thing that I was looking for. And the funny thing is, though, is that like I ended up back in kind of like an educating situation with this because I think that this is what drove me to continue. This is a side hustle. This isn't my full-time job. I'm a salesman. I sell blinds and shades and shutters all day. But
I need some.
You need some? Yeah. If you were a little bit closer, we could make that happen. Yeah. But that's what I do, and I find myself educating people this way. And then like, I'm also using those skills that I got from teaching to educate a person in a home of, their window coverings, as small as that sounds, but it's one of those things like you learn to be a better salesman. And that's what we're all doing, right? We're trying to build a brand and we're selling ourselves essentially to the person who we want to buy from us.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like, I don't want to do sales. I don't want to do sales. And then the harsh reality is it's really hard to be a consultant without selling yourself.
Yeah. You got to learn how to do it, right? I mean, you got to learn how to reach out. We're here because you reached out to me, that's one of those things. It's like, this is great for me because I get to share your story, but it's also great for you because you get to share your story and people will know more about you and why you do what you do. And I think that that's what most people lose when they're trying to brand something, when they're trying to build something, they forget that people are buying them, because now you're doing videos and YouTube and things like that.
Yeah.
What, you got to go out and you got to go get those people to watch you. What makes you different than the next guy, right?
Yeah, that's been the thing I'm trying to figure out, from the editing. I'm hoping that differentiates the way that I interact with the vehicle or car, bike, what have you, the way I display the information about it. And recently I started actually interviewing the owners of the vehicles that I was reviewing, because I get to review a lot of unique things despite my channel not being huge, because of the people that I've gotten to know. Like you mentioned Jay, because of after meeting him and then meeting a lot of the NSX guys, I've driven 3 generations of them, one of them on the track and 2 of them mountain. And I've gotten to meet even more people with bikes. Like I said, one of the days I rode 2 $80,000 bikes on the racetrack, and it's an interesting experience. And part of what my videos are trying to share that with people, and how to actually film it and create a story with it. I never thought that would be something I'd be interested in, but the more I did it, the more, one, it's a challenge, and 2, it's me. It's unequivocally mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get to be creative and kind of have a purpose to what I'm doing. So my YouTube channel is One Only XRAM. All of those words are spelled out. So the word one, the word only, and the word XRAM. When you say it quickly, most people miss it. That name came from the military, so it's not a nickname I made up. It actually was given to me. So I just kind of ran with it.
Because you're a motorcycle guy, right? Like that's kind of your thing.
Cars and motorcycles.
Would you say it's easier to wreck a motorcycle than a car?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors when you get on a bike, especially on a track, because the temperature of the tires, the temperature of the track, the wind. If you're too much on the brakes on a lean, like there's so many things. Cars usually telegraph what they're doing, some more than others. Like the problem with the older C706 is the back end would just let loose instantly, and usually most cars will start to telegraph as they rotate. C706s didn't. They just like, you're good, you're fucked.
Yep.
And understanding that is one of the things that I've always learned to do, is the why. How do things work? How do we get better? I do a lot of reason why people let me ride their stuff or drive their stuff is because I've been through 3 or 4 race schools for cars and 2 for bikes. I do one-on-one training with pro racers, and I learned how to drive really well because as a teenager, I got in a really bad car accident because I didn't understand oversteer. I equate to the old adage of fear. Fear can do one of 2 things, or well, 1 of 3 things. It can freeze you, bad. It can make you run away. Depends on what the fear is from. It could be good, it could be bad. Or 3, understand it and move through it despite it being there. And the military really helps with the 3rd one. Martial arts actually helps with the 2nd one, to understand whether you need to engage or run away. There's no harm in running away, depending on what it is. But if you let fear paralyze you, you won't get to a potential. You won't get to your potential. And as a coach and stuff like that, stuff I like to teach people, especially kids. Like I can't coach the real young kids; they're too spastic for me. So 12-year-olds and older is usually what I coach for leadership and catching and stuff like that. But yeah, fear is that thing that really can either propel you forward or make you just fall back into nothingness.
Yeah, so the martial arts thing is a pretty important factor, I think, in like a lot of what you're doing, because it probably taught you some discipline, and that's why we got my daughter into it. What are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts as far as your daughter going through martial arts is a fantastic idea. I think the more she does, the better. Unless I don't like throwing styles under the bus, but Taekwondo is a money machine, not so much a teaching machine. So be leery of that. But as far as martial arts doing discipline, it absolutely does. My style was a very traditional Japanese style, and a lot of what we had to do, as far as like, if you're wrong, he would go around with this thing called a kendo stick, is this bamboo stick that's like 4 feet long. And if your stances were bad, he'd come and hit you in the thighs with it, or you'd have to block into it and work the forearm. So like my forearms and shins, they've been conditioned for years of kicking other shins and forearms and stuff like that. So it was, that style required a lot of discipline. There's a lot of learning, to get your black belt and do all the katas or forms, whatever you want to call them, all of the techniques. So we had 20 to 30 different techniques. And by that, I mean, like, you grab a wrist, how to break a wrist, how to counter a punch, how to do stuff like that. Well, once you got the black belt, you had to learn all those moves and then do the reversals of all of them. So how to do them and then how to defend them and then counter strike and stuff like that. So you're looking at 200 plus maneuvers you had to memorize and then perform in front of somebody. So it requires a lot of dedication and determination to get through that.
Yeah.
And third degree, it was just kind of like sparring 3 people trying to take them all out. It's kind of
It was like the actual fighting part.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a lot of stuff that you've gone through. Tell me kind of like what, now that you've got your degree and now that you're working through what you're doing, what is the main plan with the YouTube, with everything? What's the end goal here? Which I say that loosely because there's never an end goal, right?
Right. Like I said, there's never an end goal. It always evolves. And my YouTube channel, what I found is I care if it grows, but it isn't really the goal of it. It's to learn something new with it. And because of what I've done with my YouTube channel and the pictures, like, I've learned how to take pictures, I learned how to edit them. I learned how to edit videos. I've edited videos for people. There's a racetrack out here that is going to allow me to shoot a video for them. So YouTube's cool and all, but it's opened up avenues to do some media, which is kind of what one of the new companies that I have started is a media company. So marketing and stuff like that. So the YouTube will continue. It's going to be like my fun thing that I do. I plan on starting another one that's literally my name and take you down the path of how I learned all this stuff, like how I learned crypto and how I learned to edit videos and how I learned to take pictures and edit them and how to storyboard and stuff like that. So I think that would be fun. As far as if you're brand new, you always see these bigger channels saying, this is how you do this. Well, how did you actually start though? So that's kind of what that channel is going to be more of, is like, okay, you want to do this, how do you start?
Do you ever wonder if, like, this is something that always goes through my mind, because I have no experience in anything, right? Like, you have to learn it all on your own. And every time you want to learn how to do something, you go and you Google it and you try to figure out, what do I need to do this? And it feels like it's so generic. Like, there's never really a real answer on how to do it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's very vanilla to the point where you're like, but I want to know what setting to use.
Yeah.
Like, you want to get down to the nitty gritty. And I think they leave it general like that because there's an infinite possibility of how to do something.
Right.
So
yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's like, I want to grow my Instagram. Okay, so here's what you do, and you go do it, and it's like, this is not working.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
I don't get Instagram. I'll do an amazing reel and it'll get 10 views. I'll do a crappy handheld thing that's just like this, 12,000.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I literally got 110,000 views on a TikTok video for telling people that I didn't look like I was 41. I mean, they just came after me. You look like you're 50. You look like you're 60. Like, ooh, this guy is lost. This guy is, and I was like, whatever. keep
Yes,
counting.
that if you do something controversial or at least seemingly controversial, that is a very quick way to get some views.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense though. Like my friend from Canada is in Nova Scotia, and they had Hurricane Fiona came through, and she posted a video of the trees blowing. Didn't say anything, and she got like 100,000 views, and it's like, it doesn't. Nothing ever makes sense when someone makes it. They make it, but it never makes sense of why it goes viral. I swear.
Yeah, I agree.
It's crazy. Well, man, it's been awesome having you on here, and I appreciate you sharing your story. I'm looking forward to getting this out, and hopefully we can get the audio where it needs to be. This is super annoying, the struggles with the audio, but we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, if for some reason it's absolute garbage, you can make mine sound just as bad, and it'll just be kind of a funny robot interview.
Yeah. Match it up.
Try to find the positive.
Yep. But, well, you want to tell everyone where the best place to find you is real c here so that we know where to get Chris Kram.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, One Only XRAM is my YouTube channel. C_One Only XRAM is my Instagram, because I had my original name, forgot the password, and can't open it. So the original One Only XRAM is not doing anything because I can't get into it.
That sucks.
Yeah, and as far as the businesses go, I'm starting up. It's called Battle E Media and Battle E Consulting. I'll have a website up here shortly of both of those, and yeah, you'll see me on Facebook with the media and probably the consulting stuff for Battle E. Yeah,
and there's some awesome videos on your YouTube. You guys need to go check that out. I have to admit, I have not watched it before until you said, "Hey, how many of you have you watched?" And I watched them because there's some cool videos on there. The Bronco one was really good, and the C8. I'm a Corvette guy, so I got a chance to drive a C8 when I was down in Arizona the last time, and it's always one of those ones. It's kind of cool because it's mid-engine, but it's not like I've had arguments with customers of mine who are talking about their Corvette, like, "Oh, that's a really cool Corvette. You ever drove a C8 before?" They're like, "That's not a Corvette."
You'll get that for every genre of cars. Like, what's the R8? Only the V10s are R8s. Well, no, there's a V8. NSXs, you saw that. Only the old ones are NSXs, the new ones aren't.
Yeah,
you're gonna get that for every one of them, except for Hellcats. Challengers, there's always a Challenger.
Yeah, that's one of those rabbit holes you got to be careful you go down, because you could piss someone off pretty easily.
Oh yeah, easily.
Well, Chris, man, it's been awesome. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to get this out.
Yeah, Wes, is definitely a pleasure, man. Hope to catch some more One Drink Mondays. Maybe I'll actually get on it this time.
You should hop on. It's always people are always welcome, So hop on there.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. Well, that is the end of the show, and hopefully the audio is not too bad. We'll see if we can get that fixed up, because I've been having some touch and go issues ever since I got this Rodecaster Pro 2, which is supposed to be awesome. I think I might have figured out part of it, but I need to figure out the other part. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.